Kabbalah's most hidden secrets. That's what the session is called, reveals Kabbalah's secrets. So I guess that's what you're expecting. But not only we're going to reveal these secrets, but also going to explain how you can tap into this infinite force of energy that is around us. And it is. There's a resource that's available to everyone. But in order to tap into this resource of infinite energy, you do need a device, a tool, just like with anything in reality. So in today's session, I'm going to give you that tool. All right, let's get into it. I made a presentation for today. So let's jump right into it. We're going to go a little bit back in time to the 26th of September, 3760 BC. Now, what happened on that date? You already have a clue. It's in the title. The clue is Adam. So who knows what happened on the 26th of September, 3760? There was a person called Adam, and Adam discovered the hidden force of nature. Right? He was a regular person, actually. He didn't have any special strength. He wasn't a superhuman. He was a regular person, just like you and me. But he had something special in him. He had dissatisfaction from life. Well, many of us do today. But the special thing about Adam was that he was the first person to break the barrier between our material world that we are in right now to the hidden forces that run this reality, right? As you can imagine, everything is governed by forces, even what we see around us. We have gravity, we have the electric forces, etc. So perhaps there are forces that we cannot see that run this world, that run this reality. And in fact, there are. And Adam was the first human being to discover these forces. He was the first person to break the barriers between the material world that we're all aware of, that we all see and live in, and the forces that run this world. Now, until Adam did this himself, actually no one thought it was possible. Maybe people thought of it beforehand, maybe some even attempted to do it, but no one was in fact able to, and no one even thought it was possible. So for hundreds of thousands of years, throughout all of humans' evolutions, since the beginning of the thinking human, the Homo sapien, no one was able to break this barrier between the material world and the spiritual world. But Adam did, and by doing that, he opened the door, he unlocked the door for many of us to follow. Now, today, through the scientific method of Kabbalah, there are thousands of people who are studying Kabbalah, who are studying authentic Kabbalah. Many of you are on Kabbalah, and through the study of authentic wisdom, they're learning how to apply this on their day-to-day lives, how to bring in that missing piece that Adam felt inside, and most likely you also feel that inside. That's why you're watching, because you want to reveal Kabbalah's hidden secrets. So if you're anything like Adam, I know I am, you have this need to know, right? You have this inner urge that you might not even be able to describe, but this inner urge is pushing you to discover this hidden force of nature, right? To discover I don't even have a name for it, and you probably don't either, but it's just this urge to find something more, right? So Adam had that desire, I have that desire, and you probably also have it too. So over this session, I'm going to aim to show you how the authentic method of Kabbalah, yes, it's authentic, and yes, it's a method. I'm going to show you how the authentic method of Kabbalah can be the method that unlocks all of Kabbalah's hidden secrets. All right? I know I have to prove this to you, and I'll try at least. So let's jump into it, and I want to jump a few thousands of years ahead. Yes, to about 15 years ago. So what happened 15 years ago? Well, in fact, something similar happened to me. And there's a good chance that something similar happened also to you. And I was about 23 years old at the time. Just out of military in Israel, there's mandatory military. I finished my studies in school and finished my military service. And it's pretty much the time in life where you've got to start getting serious and you've got to grow up. So I started thinking about meaningful things, and I started questioning everything around me and questioning reality. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I know that I wanted something that I couldn't exactly put my finger on it. I don't know what it was, but it was the desire to connect to something beyond the material world that I see around me, right? Basically, it was a strong need to understand this reality. Why are things happening the way they are? What's driving my life? Everything seems so chaotic. Even trying to make order in this chaos doesn't always work. In most cases, it doesn't work. In this process, I tried all kinds of methods, the law of attraction, Buddhism, meditation, all kinds of New Age spiritualities, pseudoscience, all everything you can imagine. And I'm sure many of you have also tried all these kinds of things. And then I came across this movie. Some of you might know. It's called What the Belief Do We Know? I was drawn to that movie about the time I started getting into quantum mechanics, the aspect of it which talks about how we perceive reality and the very act of measuring reality. Already we're interfering with it, so we don't really know what reality is. And that movie, it was really a life changer for me, because when I finished watching it, then I knew that there is something beyond what my eyes can see, right? That was the main point of it. The act of measuring reality, even if I look at something, I'm already interacting with it. So how can I know what that thing really is, right? So what I felt for a really long time, it suddenly had this backup. It had scientific evidence that maybe reality isn't exactly what we see and feel and even touch around us. Okay, so this curiosity for quantum mechanics, it led me to search for everything I could find on the internet. And then I used Kaza. Those of you who are internet geeks know what this is from the 90s. It's one of those file sharing platforms. And on that platform, I don't even remember what I searched for, but I remember what I found. I found a video with a Kabbalist and the scientist from that same movie that I talked about. I thought it was interesting. And then I started watching it. And what I saw there completely blew me away. That Kabbalist, which I later learned to be Dr. Michael Lightman, who's my teacher today, he spoke of that exact same piece that I felt was missing. He spoke about how our desire is built, why it's built that way, why pleasure never seems to last. As soon as pleasure hits our desire, it just disappears. So he explained how it works, but more importantly, why it works that way. Right, he spoke there about the structure of the 10 Sefirot. Some of you know it as the Tree of Life. He explained how this structure is the building blocks of everything we see around us. It's the building blocks of reality. It's like a fractal that's embedded on the deepest and lowest layer. It's the core elements of everything around us, and that blew me away, that there is this pattern in reality, and that pattern is related to this structure called Tree of Life or 10 Sefirot. Didn't really understand what it meant beyond that. I just remember that every word talking about this structure, it felt like it's triggering something inside, right? I remember he spoke about how our limited perception, similar to quantum mechanics, and how we don't even know what reality outside of us is, right? Because we interact with something, but we don't really know what it is. And it all made just so much sense. It was like one aha moment after another. Everything I heard there, it was like bam, bam, bam. And it was pretty amazing because it felt like it was answering not something that I was asking for a year or two, and not even for a lifetime. It felt like it was filling this inside need that existed beyond me. Before I existed, before this body of mine, came into becoming like a protein. And that's where I felt that knowledge. It was knowledge. That's where I felt that knowledge was hitting. So it was pretty amazing. At the time, there was no Kabbalah. There was very little materials about authentic Kabbalah in English. Luckily, I know Hebrew. So it was a little bit easier for me. So I searched everything I could find. There was a lot together. And everything I came across, it was like this like food for this inner crunch, inner need to be fulfilled. And what I want to do today, my goal for you today, is to enable you to access that same method of Kabbalah that I found about 15 years ago. The same method that was secretly used by Kabbalists over thousands of years, passed on secretly from Kabbalist to Kabbalist over generations, over thousands of years, waiting for the right time for this method to be revealed to all. And this time is now. So I want to share with you, specifically today, I want to share with you 3 secrets of Kabbalah. And here they are. So secret number 1, there is a hidden layer of reality, and with the right tool, you can unlock it. So reality isn't just what we see around us, right? And I think we all have that feeling, even that knowledge that makes it clear that what I see around me is just a result that I can perceive with my senses, right? That's secret number 1. Secret number 2, there is only one thing you need in order to be able to unlock all of Kabbalah's hidden secrets, and you either have this thing or you don't have it. So tune in and let's find out if you have it. And secret number 3 is how to bring balance, fulfillment, prosperity, time, even time. Yes, I'm going to teach you how to make more time into your life. Or you can call secret number 3, it's all about equilibrium. That might give you a little hint about what we're talking about. I'm just going to check in, see that everything is going well. There aren't any questions yet. Feel free to post questions in the chat. I'm going to keep going. But if you want to ask anything, then go for it. All right. Let's keep going. So let's jump in. You ready? Jump into secret number 1. Okay. So secret number 1, wait a minute, let's leave that. There is a hidden layer of reality, and with the right tool, you can unlock it. There is a hidden layer of reality. How do I know there is? Because there are people that have found this layer, and they describe it, and they explain about it, and they talk about it, and they can even teach how to discover it. So I just want to start with sharing you how I experienced it. So as I said before, as even as a kid, I always felt there was something more to life. And actually all kids do, right? If any of you have kids and they ask you like these why questions and why this, and they start drilling down until you just say, go eat your fries or something like that. Or if you're lucky enough, then you can answer them. But everyone has this natural inclination, this natural desire to know, but unfortunately, society it pushes these questions away. It says don't ask difficult questions and go do your homework and think about what's realistic. But everyone has this question inside, every single human being. So I also had it, and as I grew up and as society oppressed that question in me, then I grew indifferent to it. I wasn't depressed or anything. No, I was just kind of, like nothing really matters in life. I was motivated to get things done and to achieve what I needed to achieve, what society told me to. But this, you could say, was pretty much me. This is in my military service, and this is pretty much my approach to life, right? Just letting it go by. It's like I felt inside that if I just cease to exist, then it won't matter. I mean, as long as I don't feel pain. I don't want to feel pain. No one wants to feel pain. But so if I don't exist, if I wake up tomorrow and I'm gone, okay, so I'm gone. So what? I'm not going to know about it. I'm not going to feel any pain. I don't even know the people around me. If they're going to know, maybe I don't even know what reality is. So it was this approach that I developed in life. But luckily, that desire in me, it didn't disappear completely. And I still had this unexplained urge to understand everything in reality. So I went to study physics, the laws of nature. What I found there, I didn't find much. So this is me studying physics, and this is what I felt I found there. Basically, not much. I found a lot, but I didn't find the answer to what I was asking, right? Because I was asking questions that were beyond this reality. and all of the sciences, which I respect, and I did my bachelor's in physics. But all of the sciences, they explore reality from within our current senses, right? So after studying for about a year, I realized that science does not have the answer to this, because science is examining nature and reality through its already limited senses, right? So it would be like someone, colorblind. This is a nice image that I came across. So if you're colorblind and you're trying to describe reality, to what it truly is. So on the right here is colorblind vision. This is a relatively accurate implementation of how colorblind people see, and this is normal color vision. So that's what I felt science was. I felt it was like this colorblind vision that's trying to explain color. Of course, it can't. What it explores within its limitations is correct. So it can describe, what it sees and what it perceives. It can describe everything that it can from within those limitations, but it can't perceive anything beyond that, right? So that's what I felt science was. And then one day I was listening to the radio. It was actually like a broken radio. And I was trying to tune into the right frequency. And it suddenly hit me that there are infinite frequencies. Even now in the room that you're sitting in, there's all of the radio frequencies are there, right? There's all of this music playing in all of the different channels, and all of that is around you right now. You can't hear it unless you turn on the radio, right? And if you turn on the radio, that's step one. So you need to have a radio to listen to the music. But if then you also start tuning it in, then you can connect to the right frequency. And that understanding was eye-opening for me. It was truly eye-opening, because it suddenly hit me that if there is something beyond the reality as I see, then I need to have a device to tune into, and I need to be able to tune it into the right frequency. Because how can I know what reality really is? And, we can look at animals, and this is an interesting image that I came across. How humans see reality, that's on the left, and then how snakes see reality, because snakes see it through heat, like you put on like thermal view, and bees see reality in a different way. So there are infinite, seemingly, realities that are outside of us. There are all of these channels, all of these frequencies, and whatever we can tune into, then we can perceive. So maybe we are tuned into a certain frequency now, which paints the picture that we call reality. But in fact, what is reality in its essence? What is it? So does anyone really know what that is? I'd love to see your comments in the chat. If you identify with this, how you feel reality is, what is reality? Does it exist outside of us? Do we know what it is? So please share your comments in the chat. I'll be taking a look there in a couple of minutes. I can already see your comments here. Mainly kind of just supporting the session. Yep, snake vision is a bit psychedelic. It totally is. I mean, for us, for the snake, that's reality. Through thermal view, hot and cold, that's how they see everything. But I guess the same way that snake vision looks psychedelic to us, then maybe perhaps there is another frequency that perceives a different layer of reality that seems completely out of reach to us now, because we don't have the right tools. So Kabbalah explains it very, very simply, right? Kabbalah, hold on, just lost the screen here. Okay, sorry. So Kabbalah explains it very, very simply, and it explains it like this. Let me open the drawing board. Let me know if you can see it. Okay, you should be able to see it now. So let's see how Kabbalah explains this. So Kabbalah says the following. This is us over here. This world. So we're in this world. This world is filled. Maybe I'll write a bit bigger. I see it's a little bit small. Okay. So we're in this world and we see everything around us. We see nature and trees and we see reality as we see it. But in fact, Kabbalists, who are the scientists that were able to develop that internal device and were able to find these forces that actually govern reality, they found that this world is a world of outcomes, and there is actually a spiritual world. And that the spiritual world is the world of forces. And everything in our world is simply an outcome of these forces that exist on much higher levels. Right? So you might have heard of the 10 Sephirot, the tree of life, which is that structure, with the 10 Sephirot, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, something like this, and they all connect to each other. So what is this structure? This is a structure that Kabbalists discovered that define not our world, not all these things that you see on the internet, sorry to say this nonsense, that it defines our body and connection of energies in this world. No, it doesn't talk a single word about this reality. These structures, the structure of the tree of life and the book of Zohar, and all of these Kabbalistic terms, they speak of the world of forces, and they're written by Kabbalists that have discovered this world. That is it. And all you need to do in order to go from the perception of this world to the perception of the spiritual world, all you need to do in order to unlock all of Kabbalah's hidden secrets is you need to build that internal device. This internal device is like a key that can unlock this higher level, your higher level, because even you exist in potential in this world of forces. And the way you are in this world is also an outcome, a very, very limited and a very minimized version of your true potential in the world of forces. So secret number 1, which is there is a hidden layer in reality, and with the right tool, you can unlock it. What is that tool? It's a device like that radio that can, if you tune it correctly, it connects you to frequencies, to energy that is in fact all around you. What is around you is not the material world. What you see, what you feel, what you touch is simply a limitation that goes through our 5 senses, which aren't in fact even senses. They're just filters that something goes through them and paints this picture of reality, right? So I want to show you a quote from Baal HaSulam, one of the prominent Kabbalists of the 20th century. And he says this. He says, take our sense of sight, for example. We see a wide world before us, wondrously filled, but in fact, we see all that only in our own interior. In other words, there is a sort of photographic machine in our hindbrain which portrays everything that appears to us and nothing outside of us. So this is a Kabbalist. He wasn't a scientist of this world sciences. He wasn't an expert in physics or in biology or in chemistry. He was a Kabbalist that tapped in to the deepest forces of nature. And from that, he described reality. And he understood that everything we see around us is in fact within ourselves. We don't know what's outside of us. That's why a snake perceives reality this way, and a fish another way, and a bee another way, and a human another way, and a Kabbalist another way. And in order to tap in to all of Kabbalah's hidden secrets, you simply need to develop that internal device. That's it. All right. So that was secret number 1. I actually want to share an experience that a student of ours who's also a friend of mine, his name is Jonathan, and I asked him to write a little bit to remember when he started studying. He actually studied with his wife Netta as well, and this is what he wrote. I came to study Kabbalah because I wanted to understand the structure of the tree of life, to know the mystical text of the Zohar. What I found was simply mind-blowing. I found that these structures are not something on paper, but they define the blueprint of reality itself, and are revealed within. So what Jonathan found here is what many, many thousands of our students who join Kabbalah find. They find that all of these structures, all of the curiosity that you have, and I'm sure you have this curiosity, and I know you do because I also had it. It's like this curiosity to know, right? To know this tree of life. What is this structure? What are these Sefirot, right? What is the book of Zohar? Why is it so secret? Why is it being hidden? All of this desire to know, it comes from a desire deep, deep inside, which wants much more than to know. It wants more than knowledge. It wants to be nurtured. It wants to grow, and it wants to develop, to perceive these hidden layers of reality. All right. So moving on, and let's jump on to secret number 2. So secret number 2, there is only one thing you need to be able to unlock all of Kabbalah's hidden secrets, and you either have it or you don't. So do you have it? All right, so let's see. Just going to jump over to YouTube and Facebook, see if we have any questions. Okay. Is there even this reality we perceive? Do I exist? Question from Zelta. Maybe, maybe not. That's exactly what we need to find out. Let me give you a clue. The reality you exist in is considered to be the lowest form, the lowest level, the tiniest level of fulfillment that exists in all of the realities. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing there are more comments here and not questions, so keep commenting. It's great and it's contributing. And let's jump forward so we don't run out of time. Okay, so where are we? We're on secret number 2, and that is there is only one thing you need, and you either have it or you don't. Let's see what that is. In fact, I'll also just take 3 minutes to tell you that when I started studying Kabbalah, then I pretty much got obsessed with studying because I had this strong desire. I just wanted to fill it all the time. I had to know everything. I bought all the books. I watched everything I could find available. Every spare moment. This is me pretty much most of my free time. Actually, this was taken in Australia. So, I was traveling at the time. And while I was traveling, and I went around many countries, Australia, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, India, Nepal. And while I was traveling with my wife, who at the time was my girlfriend, then I had this laptop with me, and whenever I had a chance to, I just connected, and I just had to know more and more. And I ordered books overseas, and I downloaded lessons. I had to get to the bottom of it. I had to get to Kabbalah's hidden secrets. And I'm a pretty scientific guy. I mean, I had an inclination to study physics, so I thought, okay, I need to develop this internal device. That I got. So how do I do it? So I started mapping out, right? What do I need for this device? You tell me, right? So I need to have brains. I need to have some time. I need materials. I need instructions. I need guidance. I need tools. I need a desire. It was like I was trying to intellectually solve something that was above my perception, right? I was trying to kind of crunch it into my mind and say, okay, I got this. I'm going to solve it. I'm going to nail it. I'm going to find out how to build this device. It didn't really work. I mean, it worked, but I spent a lot of time when I could have spent a lot less until I figured something out, which I'll share with you in a few moments. At a certain point, I came across a quote from Bala Sulam from the introduction to the study of the 10 Sefirot. So the study of the 10 Sefirot is the study of the structure of the tree of life. And in the introduction to that, Kabbalist Bala Sulam, he wrote the following. There's a wonderful, invaluable remedy to those who engage in the wisdom of Kabbalah. Through the yearning and the great desire to understand what they're learning, they awaken upon themselves the light that surrounds their soul. So listen to what he says here. He doesn't say that through the understanding, they awaken light that surrounds their soul. He says, through the yearning and great desire, that's what awakens the light that surrounds their soul. Hence, even when one does not have the vessels, so the vessel is that same device that Kabbalists have developed to tune into that additional hidden frequency. So even when one does not have these vessels, meaning when one does not yet have a device, when he engages in the wisdom, mentioning the names of the lights and the vessels related to his soul, they immediately illuminate upon him. Yet, the illumination one receives time after time during the engagement draws upon him grace from above and imparts him or her with abundance of sanctity and purity, which bring him much closer to achieving his wholeness. So I'm going to let this hinder for a few seconds. This understanding to me was a game changer. It's not the knowledge. It's not the solution is not from within my intellect. As always, the solution to any problem has to be from a higher level of that problem. Otherwise, you'll never be able to solve it. I was trying to intellectually solve something that the solution to it was at a much higher level. And for me, that was a complete game changer. Right? I'm going to tell you exactly how this works. So let me jump over to the drawing board again and let's take a look. So even, you know what, we can continue with this illustration that kind of works. So if we go back, actually, let's take another one. If we go back to before there was time, before anything existed, there was only a thought of creation. That's all there was. And that thought, it created a desire. That's what it created. So this thought, it's called light, and the desire is called a kli, or a vessel, or that tool, which later on evolved to become that tool. And that's the only thing that was created, right? And within us today, this desire, which was built before there was time, before there was matter, before there was anything, before existence even became, that same desire throughout 14 billion years of evolution, it remained, but it remained dormant. And this desire is beginning to awaken in every single one of us. So let's say sometimes we draw this general vessel as a heart, and within us, within this desire, there are two parts. There's a desire that's connected to this world. That's all of these desires for food, for sex, for family, for power, for money, for knowledge, for fulfillment from the material world. And all that's fine according to Kabbalah. You don't have to stop doing that. You don't have to stop trying to fulfill yourself or limit yourself in any way whatsoever. You don't have to do any of that. You don't need any special abilities. You don't need to be super smart. You don't need to pose to be a saint and limit yourself and stop eating or go on a certain diet, or you don't need anything except for one tiny thing. And that tiny thing is that same desire that existed throughout all of human existence. That same desire that is now beginning to awaken in humanity in a very small amount of people, maybe 0.001% of the people are beginning to feel this desire. And what this desire wants is simply to grow, to connect to where it came from. And where did it come from? It came from an infinite layer of reality that aims to bring us to perfection, to fulfillment, to absolute love, to absolute connection. And that point inside, that's what it aspires for. And it's awakened in all kinds of people. And I think if you look at even at the audience here, you know, if we would analyze the people here, we would see that we have people from all walks of life. We have people from academia, and we have businessmen and businesswomen, and college students and doctors and farmers, and we have men and women and younger people and older people, We have Christians, we have Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, atheists, especially atheists. I also came from being an atheist. We have everything, because this point, it doesn't care about demographics. It doesn't care where you're from or what you've done in your life or what you think or what society told you that you need to be. This point aspires for inner greatness. It aspires to unlock a higher level of reality. And that's why, in order to build that device, in order to connect to all of Kabbalah's hidden secrets, in order to unlock this hidden layer of the forces that govern everything in reality, all you need is that desire, that spark, because that is the beginning of that internal device that you can build. That is the start of you connecting to all of Kabbalah's hidden secrets, secrets that have been passed down from generation to generation for almost 6,000 years, from the very beginning of the first Kabbalist, Adam. Remember Adam from the beginning of our story? Adam, the first Kabbalist, to unlock this layer, to open the doors for all of us to follow. And today, if you feel that spark inside of you, if you feel it, then you have everything you need. You don't need anything else. You don't need to be smart or to be educated. It doesn't hurt if you are, but you don't need that to evolve spiritually. You don't need that to nurture that point. It doesn't matter if you're a man, if you're a woman, what religion you're from. Even if you practice your religion, it doesn't matter. This is above anything of this world, right? So that is secret number 2. You don't need any special abilities. There is only one thing you need to unlock all of Kabbalah's hidden secrets, and that is the desire. So either you have it or you don't. And actually, that's inaccurate, because you definitely have it. Everyone has it. Every part of existence has that desire in them, but only in some it's awakening. And how do you know if it's awakening in you? Because if you feel that any of this, even the parts that I'm saying that you might disagree with, if they're touching, if they're creating this vibration of something deeper inside of you, deeper than what knowledge fulfills or what even your emotions can contain, if you feel any of that is triggering this inner vibration, that is that point inside that wants to be nurtured. That's the root of your desire to know the structure of the tree of life, and to know the book of Zohar, and to know everything that Kabbalists have written, and to know all of the secrets of the universe, and to know true meaning, and to know purpose. These are not kids' questions. Kids have them because they're pure, they're innocent, and they ask the real questions. Adults lose these questions because society is used to pushing us to find material fulfillment. But in fact, these are real questions that come from a point within inside of us that we all have. So you have this point for sure. But what do you do with it is the question. And this brings us to secret number 3. Hold on. Okay, secret number 3. Okay, before we do, just one more thing I forgot. Another student of ours actually forgot to write her name here. I asked her today if I can post this. This is from a while ago. Her name is Patrice Perry Kasimov, and this is what she wrote. When I started studying authentic Kabbalah, I was amazed to find that I didn't need to change anything in my life. All I needed was to nurture that desire I already had. I'm so grateful for Kabbalah for providing me with the perfect environment to feel that spark in me with endless light. So Patrice, as you can see, has a huge smile on her face. I think she always has that smile. And I think that smile grew even a little bit wider when she started studying the wisdom of Kabbalah. And Patrice has a huge desire, which I think found great nurturing and great fulfillment from the study. Okay, let's move on to secret number 3. I'm going to wait with questions, and maybe we'll take questions in the Kabbalah Zoom session that will follow right after. Okay, so let's go to secret number 3. And that is how to bring balance, fulfillment, prosperity, time. Yes, time. I mean, time. We don't have time for anything, right? How to bring time into your life, right? That is secret number 3. and why it feels like we're lacking all of these things. We're lacking fulfillment, lacking prosperity, lacking time to do what we feel is really important. Why is that? So that is secret number 3, and we're going to jump right into it. You ready? Okay. Yes. I just saw a question pasted. How is time related to the study of Kabbalah? It is completely related, and you'll understand in just a few moments. Okay. So now I want to tell you a little bit more, not about myself, but about the journey that I experienced, which I think many of you also experienced the same, and that's why I want to share this with you. When I started studying Kabbalah, it was a pretty chaotic time in my life. I mean, it was around 2005, 6. I got married not long after. Here I had some pictures. So I got married not long after I started studying. I was studying in university at the time, had my first kid and my second kid and everything until today. Today I have 4 kids. In parallel to that, I had to provide for my family with all of their needs, to provide with them a fulfilling and, fulfilling life, even on the material level. That's important. And Kabbalah supports that you have to provide and you have to be a part of society. And I didn't have a second to spare. And honestly, I had all of the excuses to postpone the study of Kabbalah to a later time in life. It would have seemingly, luckily I didn't, but it would have seemingly made more sense to say, okay, Kabbalah is amazing and it is touching points in me that I've wanted my whole life, but I've got to focus now on finishing my degree, and I just had a child, and I got married, etc. in the other order. And maybe I'll postpone the study of Kabbalah for another year or 2. Seemingly it would have made sense, but something inside of me pushed me to persevere, and I did, luckily. It took a bit of time, something like 2 years. And after about 2 years of trying to figure it out, things started falling into place. Honestly, it was, I can't explain it. Like I succeeded in my studies. I completed my first and second degree with high distinction. I was able to provide my family with all of their needs. And I was able to do all of this while studying the authentic wisdom of Kabbalah. And some of you thinking, whoa, okay, this guy's on top of it. He must be smart or determined or whatever. But honestly, that's not it. I didn't have any special starting point. I'm not particularly smart, or I wasn't particularly privileged. It was pretty average. I didn't have any particularly strong desire to succeed in my professional field or in the material world. I wanted basically what everyone wants. I wanted to fulfill my family's needs. I wanted to live a comfortable life on the level of the material world, in parallel to all of my desires to unlock reality, etc. But on the material world, I had pretty much similar desires and needs to the average person. And it took me 2 years to figure something out. But it doesn't have to take you 2 years to figure that out. I can save you 2 years of time now. You can start applying what I started applying without wasting in quote unquote, everything's for a reason. But honestly, the 2 years led me to find something that if I would have found before, it would have saved me a lot of time, a lot of chaos. And it can also save you a lot of time. What is it? What is this thing that I found after 2 years that you can start applying immediately? Well, it's based on the principle of equilibrium. And I'll explain why I'm talking about equilibrium, balance. Why has balance got to do with any of this? And I will explain it. So, as you know, life is built from many factors. It's really, really hard to determine what a small change in one part of reality, how can that lead to change in another part of reality. If I decide to start investing, for example, in my business or in my job, then if energy is limited, then it has to be on the account of something, right? So it has to be on the account of either my family or my health or the other way around. Because if we are in a system with a finite amount of energy, then it has to be a zero-sum game. A zero-sum game meaning if I take energy from one place to another, then that means the other place is now getting energy, but the place I took it from is now lacking energy. And that's the definition of a zero-sum game. And it feels, I know to a lot of you, it feels like we live in this zero-sum game, right? It feels like no matter what you do, if you invest in something, it has to be on the account of something else. And that's why sometimes people come to the wisdom of Kabbalah and they say, this is amazing, but I just don't have time for this. And I think that's a huge mistake, because if you understand the reason why you don't have time, if you understand the reason why life is chaotic, not for you, but for you and for your family and for society and for humanity, why is everything so chaotic? If you understand the cause of that and you solve it on a causal level, then all of the symptoms go away, right? Just like think of a virus, right? I have a certain virus and it's creating a rash, and I have a headache, and I have this sound in my ear that annoys me all the time, and I get nauseous. And the zero-sum game, and that's how a lot of us are living in today's world, is that we're trying to solve the symptoms. We don't know that they're symptoms. We think that, I'll take care of the rash, and then I'll take some pills for my headache, but it seems like everything that you try and tackle, something else pops up instead of it, right? And it's true, because that's the symptoms. So what is the root of all of this? And the root of all of this is a simple principle of balance. That's what it is. So imagine this. Imagine that everything around us, and you don't have to imagine this actually, all of reality follows this law of equilibrium, right? So you have like this scale. I know it's a beautiful drawing scale. I'm very talented at drawing, I know. And imagine on one side is the material world. And the material world is a closed system of finite energy. And you have all of these things here that are interconnected. You have your life and your family, and you don't have enough time, and you need to get a better job, and you need more money, and you have the mortgage, and you have your student loans, and you have all of these billions of things. And it seems like no matter what you try to invest in, it always has to be on the expense of something else. And it's correct, because this is a zero-sum game. That's what it is. If one thing benefits, the other thing has to lose. But it doesn't have to be this way. The law of balance, equilibrium, speaks simply of equilibrium on all levels of nature. And on the other side of the scale is the spiritual world. That's it. That's the law of balance. So as long as you invest in just growing this in the left side, it will never grow. It will never grow. It's limited. The energy there is finite. So instead, what you need to do, remember that general desire we spoke of, and that spark inside, that inner desire that comes beyond time and beyond space. This spark comes from here. That's where it comes from. And that device we spoke of that we need to develop, that's simply a vessel, a kli. That's what we need to build. We need to create a kli, a vessel from this spark, from this point. And if you invest even a tiny fraction of your energy in nurturing that spark, if you nurture that spark, it will bring equilibrium. It will bring balance. It will transfer it from a zero-sum game to a win-win. You'll be treating the root and not the symptoms. The symptoms will all go away. You'll suddenly have time. Things will happen to you in a way that you didn't even think of or necessarily plan for, but things fall into balance when you bring the system into balance, your internal system. So yes, Kabbalah, the authentic method of Kabbalah, it does bring fulfillment. It does bring prosperity and even time. Because what's lack of time? It's this rat race after trying to knock down different things in the material world, and something else keeps on popping up. That's the symptoms. The root cause of this is simply balance on the general system of nature. Invest a tiny bit, and take this as an experiment. Don't take my word for it. Invest just a tiny little bit into nurturing that spiritual point of yours, and you'll see how suddenly things begin to fall into place, right? So how do you do that? How do you make that point? How do you invest in it? How does that point grow into a kli? Because a kli, this vessel, is truly what has volume. This vessel is what can tip the scale and bring the entire system into balance. Actually, Kabbalists call this, they give two names for it. They call this the path. Wait a minute, you probably can't see this. They call this path of light, and they call this path of suffering. Why is it path of light and why is it path of suffering? Because as long as we invest only in the material world and we try to bring balance out, the general system will always try to bring us into equilibrium. It's like a negative feedback loop. That's how nature works, right? If you bring a system out of equilibrium, it creates a negative feedback. That's what it does on all systems in nature. And it's the same here. If you invest only in the material world, you get into a negative feedback loop that pushes you to search. And this, by the way, happens on a global scale too. Coronavirus, wars, famine, all of that, all of these things are negative feedback loops of the general system trying to push us back into balance. That's all it is. So what do you need to do? How can you nurture this point? Simple. You do one tiny thing that will save you now the 2 years that I spent on trying to figure out. You need to plant that point of yours, that spark of yours, that seed, that beginning of the desire, that kli. You need to plant it in an environment that will nurture it. That is it. If you plant that desire, then you're guaranteeing the evolvement of it. You're guaranteeing connection to this positive force. You're guaranteeing that you're bringing balance into your life, into everything around you. Don't take my word for it. Try it out for yourself. Give it a taste. Invest into that point. Plant it. Bring it, your internal system and the external system, into balance. It's like healing the virus. All of the symptoms, everything, your health, your finances, your lack of time, your family, everything falls into place when the general system is in balance. All right? So that was secret number 3. Now, it seems like we're out of time, but I do want to continue and I don't want to stop here. So I'm going to tell all of you that are continuing, all of the Kabbalah students that are continuing right after this session to the Kabbalah Zoom, then stick around. It'll take maybe 10, 15 minutes.
I'm going to be doing a video on how the Kabbalah was originally used before it was usurped by patriarchy. Now, even though I have this tree up here, okay, we have known about the Kabbalah being used the right side up, but actually it's upside down. Now, this is one of the books, The Witch's Kabbalah. Okay. And on page 92, it says, it is said that the tree of life is upside down, having its root in heaven. That means that Malkuth is at the top of the tree and not at the bottom. And this text is from the Sefer Yazira. Okay. And this is one of the texts here, this Sefer Yazira. Okay. Quite sure I'm probably mangling the spelling. But this is one of the little books. They have a bigger books that goes into a lot more information on the Kabbalah. Now, if we're going to do it from the Hermetic standpoint, and there's three different groups that use the Kabbalah: the Christians that use it as a C, Kabbalah, okay, and then you have the old school, whether they be Ethiopians or the Lemba tribe or the Orthodox Jews in Israel. Okay. And some of the Ethiopians that went over there, they're also Orthodox Jews. They're actually the original Hebrews. And then you have the Hermetic Society that use it with a Q, Kabbalah. And that's typically how I use it. Now, this is the way we're used to dealing with the Kabbalah. Starting from Malkuth, Yesod, Hod, Netzach, Tiphareth, Gabora, Chesed, Dath, Binah, Hokmah, and Kethar. But that doesn't make sense. It never made sense to me. And I knew I wasn't crazy. And I was so happy when I ran across this, because as a child, when my father and them would study this, I would look at it and I felt like, you know, when you're a kid and you play that spin around game and you spin around real fast and then you get real dizzy and your eyes are rolling over in the back of your head. That's how it always been when I looked at it. Now, when we do numerology or we do astrology, numerology, the ace is the beginning. That is planting the seeds, whether it's the Ace of Cups, which is the root of water, the Ace of Swords, the root of air, the Ace of Pentacles, the root of earth, or the Ace of Wands, which is the root of fire. Okay? The ace is the beginning. So how is this at the top, at the beginning? And then it comes down to 10 here at Malkuth. Now, when you turn it upside down, I want you to really peep this. You have this divine triangle here from Kethar, Binah, Hokmah. Okay? And this is the way I use it. And I think about it. When you come into the ace, this is when you first come into your understanding, because this is the root. And you have to climb the tree. So when you first start waking up, you come to this Kethar. And then you go over here and you start to get the wisdom. And you come across the understanding, or you go to understanding to get the wisdom. And it forms this upside down divine triangle, which represents the energy of water.
Smash your quota every quarter with Vidyard. It's my go-to sales tool.
You booked that meeting yet?
And as you go along, you come into Dath. Dath is the realm of the unknown. I call that the realm of the ancestors, because this is where you really begin to connect. And then we come up here to Gabora. We got Tiphareth, and we got Chesed here. We have another divine triangle here. And this is a sign of fire, where this is a sign of water. The upside down triangle, which represents the divine feminine. Okay, see, I wear the upside down triangle in onyx to represent not only the energy of Saturn, but the divine feminine in her subconscious state. This is the realm of the subconscious here. Then we get up here, we have the triangle. And then we have another set of triangle here. Okay? So we come across to Netzach going to Tiphareth, coming to Hod, going across. And then we have another divine triangle here, going from Netzach to Malkuth, coming to Hod, and we have Yesod, which is the foundation. So check it. You come into the root on the tree. And you get to the understanding. You get to the wisdom. Okay? And you go on to the realm of the unconscious, and then you come into Gabora. Gabora deals with strength and might, learning how to control your animal instinct, okay? And we come across to Chesed that deals with mercy, okay? And I'm just dealing with the balance aspect of it because truth be told, you really don't need the klippa. The klippa is just the shadow side, but this tree can be used either way, okay? Hold on for 1 second. Amin Ra! I'm doing a video, thank you. Sorry about that. My son Amin Ra and Heru are playing video games. And so we come across and we learn mercy at Chesed, the Ma'atian values. Okay? And then we come up here and we're dealing with the energy of Tippereth, beauty. And we're going all across the tree. So we're ascending, coming into this awakening. Then we're getting this understanding and this knowledge. We come into the realm of the unknown. We're learning how to control ourselves and how to learn to have mercy, balance, and fairness, and the beauty of it all. Okay, learning to see the beauty within ourselves, the beauty within the divine, okay, and all the healing modalities. And then we come up to Netzach, okay, dealing with the energy of victory. It becomes victorious for us because now we're getting a glimpse of the great machine, okay, the machinery at work. And we come up over here and we get, let me see. We come up over here and we get Hod. And we come up to this, glory. And we climb the tree further, we come into Yesod. Now, Yesod deals with the moon, the waxing and the waning, the astral realm, the dream state. Okay? Dealing with that subconscious realm of that inner knowing before we ascend into the realms of Malkuth, the kingdom. Okay? Where it says in the Bible, in my father's house are many mansions. Not going to let patriarchy be great. In my mother's house are many mansions. We come into the kingdom. Okay? So when you look at it, this is also one of the things that patriarchy took and they corrupted. And a lot of people have learned it this way. Okay? But really, this is the very foundation. Kithar is the root of the tree. And it's from there that you begin to awaken to your divine potential and ascending the tree in getting the understanding, the wisdom, and learning all these various modalities until you ascend to the kingdom. Okay? So again, this is just one of the things that was corrupted by patriarchy. And like I said, when we are learning the tenets of the Kabbalah, don't just learn it from, the Hermetic way of assigning the tarot, okay? Because with this, it is assigned to the tarot where we have different parts of the tarot, the Empress, the Fool, the Magician, and all of this. But the old school Kabbalists,
My name is Scott Harrison.
Just listen.
This is my wife.
did not assign the tarot, because the tarot really is a relatively new addition to this tree. Before, it was just the Sephira and the energies, the planets that's assigned, the various beings that deal with this tree, and in the various path, the Aleph, the Beth, the Gamel, the Dalet. And each of them is focusing on a different aspect. Like, okay, I use these Kabbalah cards, and I do divinations. And they can be used with like the tarot, but I typically, you can either pull a card a day and meditate on, the meaning. Okay. And so when I did a reading the other day, I happened to get Chet, okay? And Chet is dealing with the 18th path, going from Binah to Gabora, okay? And it represents the sign of Cancer, which is my sign. I am a Cancer, okay? And so what this really talks about is really taking time for yourself, okay? Let me see here. Make sure I got my little notes here because I tend to rambling on, okay? This Chet deals with, in meditating on this, it's about taking care of your body, taking care of your health. Now, at 50 years old, I don't have any health issues. However, I have gained quite a bit of weight since having my last two children. And it's just through sheer laziness why I have not jumped on, some kind of health regimen, even though I typically tend to eat very healthy and things like that. There's things that I need to do to shed these extra pounds, so I don't get tired as easily, okay, which I don't have a problem with that. But with extra weight, you tend to get tired. And because I'm bipolar, honey, I don't have those issues because we can wake up crunk. We can wake up on 10. It's learning how to ground that energy so you're not expending that kind of energy. So really, when I meditate on this, it tells me about taking time out for myself, paying attention to my body, and paying attention to wellness. Okay. And so you can either pull a card a day, and so you get to study, so you get to know the original way of how this was used, or you can do past, present, and future. Just go into a meditative state and shuffle the cards like, ancestors, great mother, what is the message that you have for me? And you shuffle until you don't feel the need to shuffle anymore, and you can begin to do a reading or just pull a card a day. Okay. And when you pull this card, it gives you some information. Okay. So again, that is doing the old school way. And I use it both way, the Hermetic way, the Kabbalah with the letter Q, and I also deal with the K. Okay. The Kabbalah. Now I don't deal with the C, so I just deal with these two. But how I use the tree of life is using it upside down, beginning from Kithur and going across to Binah and to Hokmah. Okay. Or you can start from Kithur and go to Hokmah and Binah and come down here to Gabora and going across to Chesed, and you can ascend the tree. Okay. You can ascend the tree all different ways. There's many paths to ascending this tree. Okay. We have the left-hand path, okay, which is the path of severity, the path of mercy, the right-hand path, and in the middle, the path of mildness, beneficent. Okay. And, even if you look right here at this little
welcome to the Amazon Fulfillment Center tour, where
this tree right here, you see the upside down triangle that represents the energy of water, and you see the right side triangle that represents the energy of fire. And it's the great mother, the divine triangles of 333. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And coming up here to the kingdom of Malkuth. Okay. So again, this is using the Kabbalah, how it was originally intended to be used, because this was one of the system that was given to us by the great mother in learning how to go within and to elevate to higher levels of consciousness and taking the different paths and working your way up through this tree to come up into the kingdom. So I hope this was helpful for those who, I've been asked about the Kabbalah before and how I use it. And even though, like I said, I have these posters all over my house this way, okay, I wish somebody would do the tree the right way. But for now, this is what we use. But how I use it is the way it was supposed to be used in starting at the root. Because you come up to the root, think about it. Again, we have the root, which is number 1. And then we have number 2 and number 3. And we go up till we get 10. In numerology, you climb in numerology. You start out from 0, which 1 ace is 0, okay? And we climb going up the steps. We don't start at the top and come down the bottom, okay? So this is just, a quick video on the Kabbalah and how I use it. And I hope that was helpful. And also, in learning, if you desire to learn about, the different paths. There is the Kabbalah deck. And who is this by? I need to get some real live glasses. But anyways, instead of buying the store brand, just go get some, But this is called the Kabbalah deck. And there's many of them out there. You know what I'm saying? That is a little bit more detailed than this one. But this is just one of the decks in learning about the different paths and also on the tree. And even copying a copy of the Sefer Gezira. Not this one, because this one doesn't really go into too much. You really have to be really familiar with the Kabbalah to get this. Because if you are not familiar with the Kabbalah, you get this and it's going to be like it's written in Arabic. So the bigger book will break it down a little bit more. Okay? So that was just a quick video on